Review it. Review it. Do it. Review it. Evil Dead is the remake of The Evil Dead, which was directed by Sam Raimi and starred Bruce Campbell. These guys are returning to produce this remake. Now that film was a big inspiration for a lot of independent filmmakers back in its day. That movie showed that you could do a lot of really innovative stuff with makeup, gore, and really well done direction with an extremely low budget and still get a lot of tension out of a movie. And that spawned a lot of sequels and a lot of fans, and so people are really anticipating this remake. Now for me with remakes, I try not to get too excited, especially with horror remakes, because generally they are terrible. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween. They're not good. The remakes of these classic films rarely ever live up to the original, and most of the time they're not even good alone on their own right. This movie has basically the same plot as the original. There are different flourishes that are thrown in there. Some of them actually improve upon the original. For instance, there's actually a reason these people are going to this cabin this time, and it's, you buy it. You actually, okay, I get why these people are there, and because of the reason, which I won't spoil, they're able to actually give a lot of excuses for why they don't initially leave when stuff gets really weird, and some of it actually you're like, oh, you know what, that actually is a pretty good idea. I wouldn't have thought of that. And it added a little bit of credence to the whole, why aren't you obviously leaving this cabin? There's a problem here. But going into this movie at this early screening that I was able to see, and I was very excited to be able to see it this early, by the way, I wasn't really expecting much because I didn't want to get my hopes up. Fans of the original and horror fans in general will probably be very pleased with this remake. This is definitely something that was treated with care. You can definitely tell that Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell were involved with this film. They were producers, and you can really feel that there is someone behind the camera who definitely loved the source material. It's actually very well directed. There's a lot of really good sequences in this movie, and if you love the original or if you're a horror fan in general, you will probably leave the theater with a big old smile on your face, and you'll probably also want to go home and take a shower because, wow, there's blood. There's blood. There's a lot of blood. Blood, blood, blood. This is a bloody movie. Wow. So if that's what you wanted going in, that will also make you happy because I have never seen so much blood in a movie in my life, I don't think. Wow. Now one of the things this movie had going against it was the fact that last year a movie called The Cabin in the Woods came out. And The Cabin in the Woods was very much so a spoof spin-off on Evil Dead, or horror films in general, but definitely Evil Dead. I mean, the whole, they're going to a cabin, they find a book and all these items and they read from it and things start coming alive out of the ground and everything. I'm happy to report though, because you can tell this film was actually made with care. A director who knows how to direct a movie. There's a lot of really good shots in this film, and the film looks great. The director of photography did a fantastic job lighting this movie and creating atmosphere and tension through his visuals. I was very impressed with the way this film looked. And yes, there is definitely an aspect of this film where you think, I've seen all of this before. But you can't really escape that when you're making a horror remake. It's just going to happen. You're going to have things that you're going to expect. Fans will go into this movie to see an updated version of what they loved. And for them, they will probably really enjoy this movie. And I found myself enjoying the film too. Despite the fact that I'm not really a big fan of gore, 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 I know that fans will definitely appreciate it, and it wasn't like a hindrance on the movie because it's something that I know that they were really going for. One of the things I was very impressed with in this film was the practical effects. There's barely any CGI at all. And for that reason, the film felt a lot more intense and more brutal and more realistic. It's like in the original film. They just had a whole bunch of practical prop makeup stuff, and they did the same thing in this one. Obviously, they had a better budget and more updated materials, and for that reason, stuff looks more real than it did in the original film. I just like that they didn't do a cop-out and make everything all CGI and everything. They did a really good job with that. There isn't some CGI thing crawling up the ceiling and doing weird flips or anything. It's basically like 95% practical, and for that reason, I was very impressed. The score for the movie is also pretty good as well. The whole film has a good production to it. It sounds great, it looks great. Now the problems with the film are basically problems that most horror films have. Extremely weak characterizations, really stupid characters that you don't really care that much about, aside from the lead girl and possibly the lead guy. But there's a blonde in this film that you honestly I don't even know what her name was. Like, she was apparently the girlfriend of the main character or the main guy, but you don't really know a thing about her. And that's essentially a thing with most horror films, is that most people on the screen are there to be killed in some sort of horrific way. I would have liked the characterizations to be a little more strong, but I wouldn't say that it hurt the film in a drastic way. I think that people who go into this movie, who want to see something that treats the source material with respect, who want to see a well-made remake that actually treats the original with care, they will be pleased. It's just a very well-made horror film and a remake that actually respects the original. I'm going to give Evil Dead a B. If you're a fan of the original, you will probably love it. If you're a fan of horror films, you'll probably enjoy it too. I myself, loving scary movies, had a lot of fun with this movie as well, so I hope you guys check it out if you want to see it. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and if you like this review, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.